Yo, what is up, my Nakama? So my name is Daniel and I'm a first year medical student, and in this video I'm going to share how to study effectively during a quarantine. First off, I hope that everyone is safe and that everyone is practicing good social distancing, because remember, the healthcare workers and the doctors, they're the ones putting their lives on the line, and we're kind of interfering with that if we're just spreading the virus more and more. So just stay at home, try and cancel all of your events, and take one for the team. In the long run, it'll be better because don't think about yourself, think about the people around you that you could be affecting. But anyways, to the topic of this video, which is how to study effectively while staying at home all day long. And it can be tough because the motivation, it can be really lacking if you're home all day. If there's no really structure or set mandatory events, it can be hard to kind of get up and get yourself to do the necessary tasks for your education or for your classes. So those of us that are in university and medical school, it's crucial for us to continue learning every single day so that we don't fall behind. So in order to combat the negative effects of being at home all day and having that lack of motivation not to study, I have 5 tips that I'm going to share that I think can be really effective if you implement in your current home routine in order to have an effective study day. And the first tip is Pomodoro studying. Now what Pomodoro studying is basically you study for 25 minutes very effectively, very efficiently, with no distractions, and then you have a 5-minute break. And basically you do these 25-minute on and 5-minute off cycles for about 4 or 5 cycles until you take a longer break where you kind of get up, stretch, and do whatever. But basically by having these cycles, it kind of keeps you in check. Because personally, my focus tends to drift after 25 minutes of intense studying, so I find that this time interval is the best for my own personal use. Now, I use an app called Forest, and on Forest you can adjust the time frame or the interval. So some people, they might be more comfortable with studying for 45 minutes and then a 15-minute break. But you can change your time interval, you can change how long the break is, you can modify it to your own needs. And I'd highly recommend studying in this way because I think it keeps you more focused for a longer period of time rather than trying to do 3 lectures in 3 hours, but then you get distracted and it ends up being a 5-hour study session when it could have been a 3.5-hour study session if you did Pomodoro intervals. All right, now the second thing I'd recommend is spaced repetition. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, but spaced repetition is just the best thing you can do for long-term memorization, in my opinion. Now, there are multiple ways of implementing spaced repetition, but my personal favorite is through a flashcard-based software program called Anki. And this is basically the backbone of my memorization in medical school. I do Anki reviews every single day. I think I'm currently on a 137 or 138 day streak for consecutively doing Anki. And it has just been fantastic for my own long-term retention. And a lot of people, they think that Anki, because you're just memorizing individual flashcards and facts, that you will kind of get lost in the details and not see the bigger picture. But because I focus on understanding the bigger picture before approaching Anki, I feel like when I really hammer down all those little nitty-gritty details, I actually make the connections and the facts as I keep on learning more cards, and things actually start to make more sense the more cards I learn. So yeah, hopefully that ends up paying off for the board examinations. Woo! All right, now tip number 3 is to change up your study location. So I'm a big fan of changing up where you study. Before this coronavirus pandemic, I would usually study for the first part of the day at school because I felt really comfortable there, and that's where I took my examinations anyways. So being in that environment while studying kind of cued me to perform well on the exams, because that's the environment I was used to learning and recalling the information in. But now it's a little more difficult, of course, because we have to socially isolate ourselves and we have to stay at home all day. So what I recommend doing is just moving to the couch or moving to the bedroom or another room. Basically just trying and changing where you're studying, because if you're studying in the same room at your desk all day, that can be kind of difficult. I would personally go a little mad if I stayed in this room all day long. So I change it up a little bit. If I have some light reading to do, I will go downstairs, basically just to stay sane while staying at home all day long. Okay, so tip number 4 is something very important, and it's to make a to-do list. And I know it seems kind of trivial, but without any sort of structure, like any mandatory lectures to go to or any mandatory events to attend, it's kind of hard to muster up the motivation to plan out your day and know what you're gonna do. So I'd recommend either the night before or the morning of, just write out a simple to-do list. You can do this either in your phone notes, or if you have a piece of paper, just write it down on there. And basically just plan out what you're gonna do. So for example, today, I knew that in the morning I was gonna do some Anki cards, then I was gonna watch a couple sketchy videos, then I was gonna do about 20 questions on USMLE RX, and then I was gonna finish off my studies by watching 3 of the in-house lectures that were covering a lot of stuff about psychology. And what I like to do is I like to do all of my education requirements all at once, with a few breaks in between, of course, but no sort of major breaks where I do something else completely for like an hour or two. And basically this kind of keeps me in check so that I know, like, until I check off everything on this to-do list for my study purposes, I can't do anything else. And it's really easy, you know, at home to like watch one lecture, then go downstairs and then watch like 5 episodes of some Netflix show. And that can be very unproductive, and it is very easy to fall into that trap. And I'm not even gonna lie, like the first 2 days of quarantine, that was me. I actually kind of binge watched a show called Castlevania on Netflix. It was pretty hype. There was definitely some hands in it. It was definitely very unproductive for me to do. And now I'm a little bit more conscious of that distraction. So I make it a priority to do and check my entire to-do list before, you know, doing any leisure activities or just enjoying myself. Okay, 5th and final tip, and something that I find extremely important, is to just get up and move around. Try and be active in any way you can during your study breaks, whether that's stretching, doing some mobility work, hammering out 10 push-ups. Just do anything to get yourself moving and not like stuck and hunched over at your desk all day long. Because otherwise, you know, you'll go a little insane, which will in turn impair your study and your memory capabilities, and you'll just be more stressed. So, you know, just get up, move around, find a wall, practice some handstands, train calisthenics, which is my favorite form of training. Do anything that's just gonna, you know, get your heart rate a little up. You know, move your muscles, your tendons a little bit. But yeah, those are 5 quick and easy tips I think you can implement in order to study more effectively during this quarantine. And I think it's important for us to study because, you know, a lot of people right now, they are going through a tough time, they're suffering. A lot of people are affected by this virus in ways we can't even imagine, both economically and physically. And at least for me, it's important that I continue my studies because I'm training to become a physician. And I don't think it's something we should take lightly. We shouldn't just kind of abandon everything and just like become degenerates because we're quarantined. I think we should continue to be productive. We should continue to educate ourselves. And most importantly, we should continue to be safe and aware of our impact on others and what we should do in order to limit the spread of this virus. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned, leave a comment below. And as always, Dattebayo.